Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the celebration of the graduates of the Global Poverty and Practice Minor of the class of 2025. Congratulations. My name is Ilora Shahabuddin. I am Professor of Gender and Women's Studies and Global Studies here at UC Berkeley, and I am pleased to serve as the chair of the GPP Minor. I would like to take a moment to recognize the parents, families, and loved ones who are here to celebrate our graduates with us. Their support has made your success possible. Graduates, I invite you to turn around and give a huge applause to your loved ones who are here with you today. Including siblings who don't always agree with you, yes. You, the graduating class of 2025, represent the 18th graduating class of the GPP Minor. This year's graduates include over 30 students from more than 20 different majors. Over the last few years, all of you have become participants in debates about global poverty and inequality, about philosophies of global justice, and about the ethics of global citizenship. And you have learned to analyze the contemporary social, economic, and environmental problems in light of these debates. Through your coursework and your practice experience, you have learned about the field of poverty action, but also how to think critically about relations of power involved in addressing these urgent problems. You have learned, for example, to critically assess the strengths and limitations of ongoing efforts by key institutions and actors, from the World Bank to global social movements, from national and local governments to NGOs, from multinational corporations to philanthropic foundations. The global perspective of this minor has helped you think about the inextricable connections between structures of inequality in the global North and the global South. You have learned that poverty and inequality isn't something that just happens over there, but that we are all connected in a fundamental way, that our daily practices here as voters and consumers have repercussions around the world. Your class has learned and reflected on all this in a very particular historical moment, against the backdrop of so-called natural disasters, usually brought on by climate change, as well as war and conflict, in Russia and Ukraine, in Sudan, Syria, Myanmar, and South Asia, for example. Your junior year saw the start of the world's first live-streamed genocide carried out by the Israeli state in Gaza, and all-out scholasticide, the destruction of every single university in Gaza. Your junior year also saw the largest mobilization of university students across the United States in recent decades, and on several campuses, their violent suppression. You are graduating at a time when academic freedom and federal funding for all kinds of academic research is under attack. In every case, you learned to read and think beyond the headlines of mainstream media, to consider the histories of these conflicts and the power dynamics that shape them, to center the history of the human beings affected, and to explore interventions that can support the most vulnerable, both in the short term and the long term. You did all this as you worked to construct your own beautiful visions of a world where everyone lives with equality and justice. Today, we celebrate and honor the hard work students have put into this program and the dedication, courage, and compassion they've applied in tackling issues of poverty and inequality. Friends and families, you can read about the incredible range of work GPP students have done in the graduation programs you have with you. These GPP graduates inspire all of us. As champions for social justice, they represent the best of UC Berkeley. A round of applause, please. There are several members of the GPP minor community whom I would like to thank. None of this would be possible without the dedicated work of our core faculty and leadership. Please join me in thanking, the first person isn't here, Dr. Ross Dahl, who teaches our large introductory lecture course on global poverty and also a course on poverty, resources, and the environment. Dr. Khaled Kader, on the far right there, who teaches our capstone reflection course, as well as courses on political economy, environmental justice, and engineering. Dr. Claire Talwalkar, next to him, who teaches our ethics and methods course for the minor, as well as global studies and political economy courses. I also want to thank the Blum Center staff who make possible the work of this minor and several other programs to enrich students' engagement with social change, such as the graduate programs in development engineering and the Big Ideas Innovation Competition. I thank the staff of the Blum Center for their leadership and support in carrying out these important programs. A very special thank you to Valerie Moses in the back, program manager and student advisor, and Chetan Chaudhry, our director of student programs in the back there. We are also very grateful for all the work of the GPP Minor peer advisors. Peer advisors are students who, after having completed the requirements of the minor, serve as mentors and advisors to their fellow GPP students. Their leadership in this program has shaped the experience of all of our graduates here today. I ask the peer advisors to stand as I call your name. The graduating peer advisors are Anesha Sritharan, Michelle Galaga, and Madison Linke. Now it is my great pleasure to invite Chetan Chaudhry to introduce our first speaker of the morning. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chetan Chaudhry. I'm the Director of Student Programs and have the honor of working with this amazing graduating class of GPP Minor Graduates. It's my honor today to introduce our first student speaker for today's ceremony, Jonna Spikes. Jonna is a legal studies major. She's a graduate of the Fashion Institute of Merchandising and Design, where she studied product development, and has assisted emerging apparel designers and brands. She then chose to pursue a career in law, where she worked as a paralegal and office manager at the law firm of Haddad and Sherwin. As a student here at Cal, Jonna has served as an intern with Legal Services for Prisoners with Children and as a member of the Ella Baker Center for Human Rights. Now, for her practice experience, Jonna volunteered with Old School Cafe, a restaurant run by at-risk, formerly incarcerated, and foster care youth, which serves as a violence prevention program that provides job training and employment. Jonna helped spread awareness of the organization, supported its fundraising efforts, and created workshops to support the youth participants with personal and professional success. Now, these are all things that Jonna has done, but I want to spend just a moment to talk about who she is, because that's really essential. Jonna is the kind of person who will leave a lasting impression on you from the first time that you meet with her. I've been struck most by her enthusiasm and her sincerity. This minor is really something that you get out of it what you put into it. And Jonna has really exemplified what it means to make the most of this opportunity. Jonna's sincere openness to engaging with new ideas and perspectives for having an impact in her community are what have helped her thrive in this program. She's been actively involved in the GPP community and has been a wonderful source of energy and excitement for all of us who've had a chance to work with her. She's been a great example for her fellow students, and I'm very pleased to welcome her to the stage to share a few remarks.
Thank you, Chetan. Good morning, you guys. Thanks for being here. It's an honor to be here today reflecting on my experiences in the Global Poverty and Practice minor at UC Berkeley. As I prepare to graduate, I'm filled with both gratitude and a profound sense of responsibility. Gratitude for the lessons this minor has taught us, and responsibility for how I can use these lessons to fight poverty and injustice in our world. The core of what I've learned can be summed up in one simple but deeply profound truth. The measure of compassion is not found in serving those at the margins, but in seeing ourselves in kinship with them. As Brené Brown once said, connection is why we are here. We're hardwired to connect with others. It's what gives purpose and meaning to our lives. And when we truly connect with those who have been excluded, silenced, or left behind, we begin to understand that others' lives are not separate from ours. Their well-being is tied to our own. The understanding of connection didn't begin for me in a classroom. It began with my family. My mother has spent her life as a social worker, walking with individuals and families through some of their most challenging moments, not from a place of judgment, but from one of kinship. She taught me that justice starts with listening, with showing up, and with believing in the dignity of every person. The commitment to justice and dignity was a through line in my family, one my grandfather also embodied. In a different but equally meaningful way, he started a shoe factory in the South, one that offered good jobs, livable wages, and real benefits. He built a business, but more importantly, he built a community. He believed that economic dignity was a cornerstone of a just society, and that treating people fairly wasn't just good business, it's the right thing to do. Their lives have reminded me that justice doesn't always make headlines. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it looks like offering someone a stable job. Sometimes it looks like sitting across from someone and really listening to their story. Justice isn't always loud, but it is always rooted in community. I entered this minor with an idealistic desire to serve. I believe that by helping those who are suffering, I'd be fulfilling some noble mission. I've come to realize that service without connection can become charity. True compassion doesn't come from a place of distance. It comes from standing shoulder to shoulder, seeing the humanity in each other, and walking forward together. I saw this most clearly during my practice experience, where I worked with foster youth and formerly incarcerated youth, young people who've been impacted by systems that too often punish instead of protect, discard instead of investing. What I learned from them was not just about injustice, it was about resilience, about brilliance, and about hope. These youth aren't broken. They're whole and full of potential. As part of the GPP program, this practice experience allowed me to engage directly with a community-based organization, Old School Cafe in San Francisco, that reimagines justice through mentorship, shared labor, and youth empowerment. GPP encourages students to move beyond charity models towards partnerships rooted in systemic critique and possibilities. What I found in this work was not just service, but solidarity, a deep sense of kinship and connection, where community is built not by fixing people, but by believing in them. Through kinship, we reject the notion of helping and embrace co-liberation, transforming charity into justice. No one has embodied this more clearly to me than Father Greg Boyle, founder of Homeboy Industries, who studied right here in Berkeley. Father Boyle has dedicated his life to building kinship with those often labeled as outcasts, former gang members, incarcerated youth, and he does so not by fixing them, but by standing with them. In his work, compassion isn't a gesture of service. It's a radical act of kinship, grounded in the belief that there is no us and them, only us. At the same time, I've come to believe that the fight against poverty and injustice isn't just something we choose to do. It's something we're here for. The great Chadwick Boseman said, "Purpose is an essential element of you. It's the reason you are on the planet at this particular time in history. Your very existence is wrapped up in the things you are here to fulfill. This minor has helped me uncover that purpose. It's shown me that I'm not here to save others, but to stand with them, learn from them, and build something better together. As I look ahead to what comes next, I know this. I'll carry these lessons with me, not as abstract ideals, but as daily practices. Whether I'm working on policy, engaging with community, or simply listening to someone's story, I'll remember that the connection is the foundation of purpose. Compassion without kinship is incomplete. The Global Poverty and Practice minor has taught me that the work of justice is not a career path. It's a calling grounded in love, humility, and shared humanity. This program has prepared all of us graduating today to approach the fight against poverty and injustice, not as a task, but as a shared journey. At Old School Cafe, I saw what that looks like in real life. Youth who had been pushed to the margins weren't treated as problems to fix. They were treated as leaders. They helped decide what went on the menu, how the restaurant was ran, and what kind of community they wanted to build for themselves. That's what love looks like when it is rooted in justice. GPP taught us to look deeper, to consider the broader systems at play. This work isn't about stepping in to save someone. It's about showing up, standing together, and believing that we belong to each other. I'm deeply grateful to have been part of this program that didn't just educate my mind, but also has shaped my heart. Congratulations to my fellow classmates, and thank you all for inspiring me to walk with purpose, speak with heart, and believe that even the smallest steps we take can shake the ground beneath injustice. Go Bears.
Thank you for those brilliant words, Jonna. Hello, welcome everybody. It's my pleasure to introduce our second student speaker this morning, Anahita Banerjee. Anahita is graduating with a degree in civil engineering and a minor, of course, in global poverty and practice. I came to know Anahita first in 2022 when she reached out to talk to me about her work in rural India. And then I had the pleasure of sharing a classroom with her this past fall semester when she was a student in GPP 196, the reflection course for the minor. Throughout her time at Berkeley, Anahita has had a very clear focus to apply her technical skills that she was learning in her coursework to support marginalized communities. From the very start of her time, she joined Project Rishi, first as a project member, then as a water and sanitation leader, and eventually as vice president of the organization, working with this long-standing student-run nonprofit to improve access to water, public health, and education in their partner village in rural India. Then in the summer of 2024, she completed her practice experience in rural Peru, supporting EcoSwell on their water and sanitation projects. To me, Anahita represents much of what makes our students in the GPP minors so special. In addition to being brilliant, she's graduating with honors from Berkeley this semester. She's deeply committed to challenging herself. She's deeply committed to challenging her own thinking and critiquing her own work. She's been able to thread this really careful path. On the one hand, she dives in. She's all in on her work. She puts in the time and the energy and the effort. And yet on the other hand, she maintains a deep awareness of the limits of the work she's doing. She asks questions. She challenges herself and those that are working with her. She strives to constantly grow and improve. This praxis, engaging in both thinking and doing, and then afterwards reflecting on that past doing, all with the intention to keep doing, but only to do differently the next time because of those past experiences and reflections. It is central to Anahita's work, and it's central to the work that we're doing here in the minor. Anahita is committed to this process. Instead of striving for some non-existent silver bullet to the world's problems, she instead strives to stay engaged, to keep critiquing, to growing, and to learning. I suspect that perhaps she's so good at this process because for much of her life, she has trained as a ballet dancer. Surely the knowledge she has embodied from her years of dance have helped her to navigate this tricky terrain with grace and poise. True to form, while Anahita is leaving Berkeley, she's not leaving this work behind. This summer, she will be doing some reporting for a water journalism nonprofit, after which she's off to study at Oxford for a master's degree. Through it all, no doubt, she will continue dancing. With that, I present to you our second student speaker, Anahita Banerjee.
Thank you, Professor, for that wonderful introduction. Welcome, families, friends, and fellow graduates, and good morning. On behalf of our graduating class, I'd like to thank you all today for your presence at this latest junction in our lives. In true GPP spirit, I do refer to it as a junction rather than an ending. As much as college trains us to submit our assignments at 11:59 p.m., forget about them and move on, I speak for all of us when I say that this minor will reach far beyond this midnight hour of our time at Berkeley. For one thing, it assigns us homework every single day, which is not what I thought I was signing up for. It's actually still assigning us homework, believe it or not. Every single graduate in this room is going to walk out of here and start working on it. And guess what? We'll never be done with it. There is no 11:59 p.m. final deadline to meet, no assignment to submit and forget about. Instead, this minor has us ask questions every day in our classes, and if we've done it right, every day for the rest of our lives. Questions like, why do we have a housing crisis in the Bay Area? Why does the United States have the highest incarceration rate in the world? And why does almost half the globe's population not have access to safe sanitation? After our time in the GPP minor, we cannot in good conscience avoid such questions when we encounter them in our day-to-day experiences. We definitely can't resign ourselves to, that's just the way it is, thinking. That would certainly be an F on our homework assignment. We can't even be satisfied with surface-level answers, like a lack of generational wealth, infrastructure, or education. That would be a D, optimistically a C-. Instead, we are pushed to keep asking questions until we see the structures that cause the symptoms we're observing, like a prison complex that profits off of labor, or policies that force previously colonized nations to divert funds from infrastructure to debt repayment. Families and friends, you can quiz your graduate on this later. And yet, I would still call these B+ answers. Because our GPP homework is incomplete if it remains passive. It is global poverty and practice, after all. The most important question that this minor instills in us is, what are we going to do about it? Our answers are diverse, and they are journeys. Some of us may continue working with nonprofits. Others may continue on to look towards Sacramento or Washington, D.C. to advocate for change. Further, others will work as doctors, teachers, or social workers. However, all of us will go on to be upstanding members of society and not allow ourselves to turn away from the injustices around us. And no matter what we chose for our practice experience, and no matter where we choose to go from this junction, we are only just getting started. And we will keep doing our homework. And like true Berkeley overachievers, we will keep trying to get that A. But as I think we have all come to realize, you grow to value doing the homework. Poverty action is a journey, and our success lies in showing up for every step of it, whatever it may look like, wherever it may take us, and even when it feels like a very tiny piece of a very big puzzle. In the words of Professor Kadir, we should not confuse scale with structure. Even a conversation that changes someone's mind is still change, and is the beginning of the ripple effect that allows us to collectively reach towards systemic injustices and challenge them. And in order to converse meaningfully, to open minds and hearts, we need to have done our homework. And so today, let's also remember that we don't do this homework alone. Thank you to everyone in our GPP family who has helped us along the way, from our amazing faculty and staff, to our equally inspiring peers and mentors, to our loved ones who support us at every step. That's you all. We appreciate your dedication to what you do and your support of we who aspire. To my peers, even at this midnight hour, I still see light on the horizon. I hope you see it too. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Valerie Moss, and I am the Assistant Director of Student Affairs here at the Blum Center, and I have this distinct honor with working with the Global Poverty and Practice minor. We are now going to present the portion where we recognize each of the graduates who are here with us today. This ceremony is a little bit different than the ceremonies you've been attending this past weekend. We've asked each of the graduates to play an active role in the ceremony where they will each recognize one of their other fellow graduates. They were all asked to submit a statement that we are calling the GPP Inspiration. This is something they are committing to or that they learned, something they hope for, or something they will miss about the GPP minor. Graduates, our Blum Center staff will assist you in lining up. After that, each of them will read the names of the fellow graduates, the brief statement, and their GPP inspiration statement. Also, once you come up here, you will be met with Professor Shaburin, who will hand you your scroll, and you will take a photo with our lovely photographer. All photos will be made available after, so don't worry if you don't get the perfect angle. GPP graduates, are you ready? Amazing. We will begin just in a second after we make sure everything's good to go. Okay, we will begin. Congratulations again to the family and friends here with us today.
Jonna Kristen Spites. For her practice experience, Jonna supported at-risk foster youth and formerly incarcerated youth at a San Francisco nonprofit. She will never forget the profound story of immigrants in an LA detention facility holding up hand mirrors to reflect those on the outside fighting for them, reminding her that, at our core, we are all bound by the same humanity, struggles, hopes, and our fight for dignity, proving that our differences are far smaller than the shared strength that unites us.
Anahita Banerjee. Anahita worked in NGOs in rural Peru and India, collaborating with communities to design systems that support clean and reliable water access. Anahita will always remember her class discussion on Nelson Mandela's work to end apartheid from prison. Mandela teaches us that there is no right position to do the right thing. We create the right position. We create the right position by choosing to do the work, whether it be work on ourselves or work to change one person's mind. All of it holds meaning so long as we choose it.
Miley Sittler. Miley completed her practice experience volunteering at the Hope Center, a drop-in resource center in San Francisco for women and queer communities experiencing homelessness, addiction, and/or sexual exploitation. Miley greatly admires the determination and compassion of everyone she has met through GPP. She has appreciated the safe spaces that have fostered open discussions and will always remember that the fight against systemic oppression and poverty will require continuous work that we must learn to support one another through.
Avril Larios. Avril completed her practice experience as a healthcare intern in Masaya, Nicaragua, where she worked alongside a Nicaraguan doctor to meet the various health needs of the underserved and remote communities. Being part of this minor has surrounded Avril with brilliant and compassionate individuals who have reinforced their commitment to community-driven change. Avril will carry forward the lessons of solidarity and justice, ensuring that their work in medicine centers the voice of those most impacted by inequality.
Madison Lindke. Madison completed her practice experience at the YWCA Berkeley, Oakland, where she worked in their advocacy team. Maddie is grateful for all she has learned during her time as a GPP student, from discussing the complex powers that shape our institutions to working with peers in planning a future outside of the classroom. GPP has changed her life for the better.
Michelle Vanessa Gallega. Michelle's practice experience at Spiral Gardens supports efforts to build a resilient local food system by increasing access to affordable produce and promoting community health and sustainability in Berkeley, California. As a non-traditional student, Michelle found a true sense of belonging and support in the GPP family, both academically and socially. Being a part of this community reminded her that transformative learning happens not just in classrooms, but in connection with others.
Anisa Patirupananda. Anisa completed her practice experience as a member of Volunteers for Medical Outreach, fundraising to send free mobile clinics, free medication, and free vaccines for communities with limited access to healthcare in Vietnam. Anisa is committed to constantly listening and educating herself and being a force of positive change despite what she may have or may be in the future.
Yuritsa Lopez. Yuritsa completed her practice experience in Upala, Costa Rica, supporting a women-led enterprise to promote economic empowerment for Nicaraguan refugees and local rural communities. Yuritsa will always carry the lessons she learned in Humuza with the women of Amigos del Ambiente and the rest of the community members whose resilience, creativity, and entrepreneurship redefined what development looks like. She's leaving this experience more grounded, inspired, and committed to community-led change.
Anisha Sritharan. Anisha traveled to Manila, Philippines, where she completed her practice experience with Likan, a local women's clinic that provides clinical care, community organizing, and policy advocacy. Anisha finds inspiration in the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Margaret Mead. Dr. King said that change does not roll in on the wheels of inevitability, but comes through continuous struggle. Margaret Mead said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, is the only thing that ever has." Anisha says it is a privilege to use our voice and fight for the voiceless. If not you, then who?
Joshua Minter. Joshua completed his practice experience volunteering in childcare and food service at Casa de la Mangrante shelter in Tijuana, Mexico. This shift in belief that Joshua cultivated from his experience in GPP is a struggle against poverty, is a struggle for agency. Any proposed solution for people who are impoverished that neglects their personal agency in favor for paternalism will become ineffective. This is a principle that has been and always remained fundamental to him.
Shavar Jade Martin. Shavar completed his practice experience in Tanzania, focused on clean water and environmental protection in collaboration with the Maji Safi group. Shavar says, "The lack of water and sanitation isn't just Tanzania's problem, it's a global injustice that demands global accountability."
Mauricio Joseph Chandler. Mauricio completed his practice experience working as an attorney's assistant at the East Bay Sanctuary Covenant, a local immigration legal clinic that represents undocumented individuals in asylum processes across the Bay Area. Mauricio is committed to pursuing a career in immigrant advocacy.
Nathan Brenner. Nathan completed his practice experience at Gill Track Community Farm in Albany, California. This minor has guided Nathan to become more empathetic and thoughtful about the world. It has allowed him to consider the political and social parts of different issues. With this, he hopes the rest of his life brings an endless cycle of action and reflection, each informing the other and allowing him to make a positive impact.
Jolie G. Wachowski. Jolie completed her practice experience at the Alzheimer's Services of the East Bay, befriending and supporting patients with dementia through social and physical engagement while helping them receive more affordable, high-quality health care. Jolie will never forget the GPP camaraderie. How many Cal students can say they got to have a class potluck with legendary samosas? GPP not only taught her to think critically, but to constantly reflect upon her thoughts to translate intention into action. She would like to thank Dr. T and Khaled who pushed her to question her motivations and challenge her privilege.
Jocelyn Baines. Jocelyn completed her practice experience at the Women's Daytime Drop-In Center, supporting women and children facing housing insecurity. Jocelyn will remember the relationship she built with her fellow GPP graduates and volunteers at the center. She hopes to continue working alongside marginalized communities to incite meaningful change.
Grace Teresa Ismagill. Grace completed her practice experience with the UC Berkeley's Suitcase Clinic, focusing on advocacy, community, and solidarity with local underserved and unhoused communities. Grace fell in love with GPP while Professor Kohler casually dropped a few earth-shattering truths that genuinely changed who she is. It quickly became the highlight of her weeks and reminded her why she loves to learn. She loves the people, how it challenges her, and how she has grown through it all. She's forever grateful she found her way here, and she truly missed GPP.
Leah Chanel Freeman. Leah completed her practice experience providing educational support and tutoring to incarcerated individuals in San Quentin State Prison and Alameda County Juvenile Centers. GPP inspired Leah to continue collaborating and working with others to use whatever privileges we have to shed light on the structural inequalities that are ever present in our lives. She will miss the vigor of the courses and thought-provoking conversations with her peers, but she will carry them in her heart and share them with everyone she meets in the future.
Congratulations to the GPP graduating class of 2025.
Welcome, everyone. And again, congratulations, class of 2025. My name is Claire Talwalkar. I'm one of the core faculty of the GPP Minor. It's my great pleasure to welcome our next speaker, GPP alumnus and attorney, Jamal Khan. I met Jamal in 2008, and right away, I, along with other faculty at the time, we were all struck by his strength and by his sincerity. I remember thinking, wow, I wonder where Jamal Khan will go and what all he will do. And guess what? This is what I get to tell you all about today. Some highlights of where Jamal has been, what he's done, and what he's currently doing. So Jamal was a member of the second cohort of GPP students to graduate 16 years ago in spring 2009. So this makes it extra special for all of us to have him back here today. Even back then, every GPP student completed a practice experience. For his practice experience, Jamal went to India, to the state of Gujarat, where he worked with farmers. Since he grew up here in the Bay Area, Jamal was, I think it's correct to say, quite blown away by this experience of sitting with these farmers and asking them questions about their lives and about their challenges accessing water for their farming, which was the focus of his organization. After he graduated from UC Berkeley, Jamal went to Harvard for law school. He graduated from Harvard Law in 2013, and since then, he's worked in different government offices. I'll read out some names. The Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, the Office of Government Ethics and Legal Policy, the White House Office of Intergovernmental Affairs, and the White House Council on Environmental Quality. Jamal has worked for individual public officials. For example, he worked as intern for Nancy Pelosi, US Representative from California. He worked for Kamala Harris in 2016 for her US Senate campaign. Also for Sam Liccardo for his re-election as mayor of San Jose in 2018. And then as campaign manager for Arif Mohammed, who ran for Fremont City Council in 2022. And then in 2022, Jamal himself ran for public office for the California State Senate. There's a line on the campaign website that I think is a perfect line. It reads, "Khan has worked in a variety of areas, but one unbroken thread runs through it all, serving and informing the public." And his resume shows exactly this, serving and informing the public. Jamal has written and recorded podcasts, which he describes as research-based fictional narratives. And these are stories that he tells in order to inform the public of important issues. His podcasts are on special topics such as the American opioid crisis, or the problems facing the deaf community, or discrimination in esports, and so on. Jamal is now back in Berkeley, or the Bay Area, maybe more broadly, and his current position is serving as the staff attorney for the Alameda County Homeless Action Center. His work involves visits to hearings and always advocating for the rights of unhoused individuals. So please give a warm welcome to GPP alumnus Jamal Khan.
Good morning. My name is Jamal Khan, and I am one of you, a GPP Cal grad. As Professor Talwalkar mentioned, I was a member of GPP's second graduating class in 2009. That year, we had a treat. The Dalai Lama was visiting, and we were given an opportunity to hear him speak. And during the Q&A, one of my fellow GPP classmates asked, "What should I do after I graduate?" And His Holiness replied, "Get a job." Not bad advice. The other day, I was talking to another fellow Cal grad, East Asian, and I got to thinking, a couple of years ago, in the state of Manipur, on the eastern side of India, a group of people who looked like me committed war crimes against a group of people who looked like him. And not too far from there, in the country of Myanmar, a group of people who looked like him committed war crimes against a group of people who looked like me. And I tried to identify the common thread between those crimes against humanity, those atrocities. And my conclusion was that every genocide in history has been preceded by a language of dehumanization against the targeted group, making it seem as if they are less than human. Dehumanization, pushed to the extreme, leads to genocide, but it can also be more subtle. During my student days here at Cal, I interned with a bankruptcy attorney. We were helping a client fill out paperwork to file with the court. He had put a P.O. box as his address. The attorney said, "Courts don't like to see a P.O. box. Do you have something else you can put?" He did not. He lived in his car. Years later, when I worked on a local Bay Area campaign, right before Election Day, late October, I passed by a row of RVs that were parked on the side of the road, a sight that is all too common here in the Bay Area. And as I was passing by it, I saw that on the side of one of the RVs, the occupant had put simple Halloween decorations. And that moved me. that even under such dire circumstances, there was an effort to conjure a sense of normalcy, to hearken back to when times were better. You've all heard the words blight, eyesore. In that moment, I saw a human. The following year, I joined the Homeless Action Center as a staff attorney. Some of my clients are unhoused, others are incarcerated, and yet others I first met in a mental institution after they had been 5150'd. That's when someone is involuntarily committed because they are deemed a risk to themselves or to others. I called that mental institution one day to get in touch with a client to discuss something involving his case. I was told that he had been recently released, which was common. But what was uncommon was when they said that the point of contact was the conservator of Alameda County. I didn't really know what that was. And so I called the conservator's office, and the staffer told me, unfortunately, he passed away shortly after he was released. This is someone who was not that much older than me, someone who could have been me. When I was creating a podcast about the opioid crisis, I attended a number of Narcotics Anonymous meetings for research. And as I sat in on those meetings, I realized that out of those who were there, some would relapse. And out of those who relapsed, some would overdose. And out of those who overdosed, some would not survive. The naloxone would not get to them soon enough. I was sitting in a room with folks, some of whom would not be there a year later. That was the statistical truth. Here's what I know from my work experiences. We cannot save every life, but if we try harder, we can save many more lives, and we can dramatically improve the quality of many more lives. When you took GPP 115, you learned about the debate between Jeffrey Sachs and William Easterly. And as you venture out into your career, whether it's in government or academia, whether it's for a nonprofit or a for-profit with a service-driven mission, whether it's direct services at the grassroots level or policy at the abstract level, no matter your vantage point or your organization or your role, if you find yourself feeling uncertain or confused, the most important thing you can do with regard to those you're trying to help, the most important thing is to see their humanity. That's so important. That should be your moral compass. And I say that with an awareness of the unlikely series of events that have allowed me to speak to you today. My grandparents grew up in India during the British Raj period. My parents grew up as citizens of Pakistan. I was born in the independent country of Bangladesh, and I aspire to one day have a family of my own right here in the United States of America. That's 4 generations born with 4 distinct nationalities. There was a transition from the first to the second because of differences over religion, from the second to the third because of differences over language, and from the third to the fourth because a group of progressive individuals persevered during the 1960s to reform the immigration laws of this country in order to help a group of people they didn't know, including some of the graduates who are celebrating here today. GPP class of 2025, congratulations. I wish you all the best. Go out there, do big things. Go Bears.
Thank you so much, Jamal. Class of 2025, congratulations, you are now officially Global Poverty and Practice Minor graduates. You now join a community of more than 1,000 amazing GPP alumni, just like Jamal. And we look forward to staying connected with all of you and encourage you all to continue to support each other as you have during your time here on campus and in this minor. We hope to continue to hear about the urgent and important issues that you are working on, and hope that one day you all will be able to engage with the students and give back to the program as you all have been able to connect with alumni and with each other throughout this program. This now concludes the ceremony, and we're excited to now move to the party of our program here, the reception, which will be held just outside. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask all the graduates to gather just right outside, and we're going to take a group photo. Family and friends, don't worry, we're going to send all of the photos to everyone if you signed on the sign-in sheet right outside. And then the ceremony will also happen right outside of Blum Hall, which is when you walk outside, you'll see just to your left. And so we hope that you'll stick around for the reception, get a chance to eat some food and connect with each other, and again, support this wonderful community that you all have been a part of throughout these few years. So congratulations again, and we'll move on now to the reception.